Hello everyone and welcome to my Bachelor Nation 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The Golden Bachelorette. I've changed my mind. Chock won't leave Wichita. There's one good reason why Joan should move to Kansas for him. I used to think that the Golden Bachelorette star Chock Chapel was ready to change his life for Joan Vasso's sake by moving to her hometown, Rockville, Maryland, but now I'm convinced that he will never leave the city he loves so much. He's put down roots in the Sunflower State, building a great life. Chock's Wichita, Kansas empire is like a kingdom that he's built brick by brick. All he needs is a queen. He has that, but Joan's unwilling to move to his city yet. In the Golden Bachelorette Season 1, Chock gave Joan what she needed. There were plenty of interesting men, including the outspoken French hairdresser, Pascal Ibe. When Pascal told her he wasn't in love, she was crushed. However, fate had something kinder in store for the willowy blonde woman who was such a graceful and honest presence on The Golden Bachelor. After being rejected by Pascal, she strengthened her connection with Chock, to whom she's now engaged. While the two seem happy, they're planning a tri-city lifestyle. And maybe Chock would rather live in Wichita with Joan. Chock makes Wichita sound like some kind of paradise. To him, it's the ultimate hometown, and it's endearing when he gushes about the city, as he does in the Instagram clip above. There are plenty of interesting attractions in the region, including a certain The Golden Bachelorette star, who's definitely touting Wichita whenever he can. In his video, Chock talks about the city's great people. The Virgo man has such a humble and sincere personality. So, what's so great about the city anyway? Well, key attractions include Old Cowtown Museum, which takes visitors back in time to the 19th century, the Museum of World Treasures, it houses Egyptian artifacts, and Botanica Wichita, a wonderful green space featuring gorgeous trees, shrubs, and flowers. Then there are the real treasures, the people Chock values the most, including his children, pals, and colleagues. However, there's room in his heart for Joan. Plenty of room. And maybe he'd love it if she lived in Wichita full-time. Right now, Joan and Chock have love shack plans in New York City, but they haven't found the right property yet. They're planning to divide their time between Wichita, Rockville, and the Big Apple. Since Chock is 61, it's not surprising that he complained about traveling a lot in the clip shown above. He's got a great home already, and probably wants more time to smell the roses, but he's trying to please Joan. The most important reason why Joan should move to Chock City is just the fact that he loves Wichita so much. He's deeply entrenched in the community as the owner of Insurance Services Group and as a homeowner. In fact, he owns a couple of luxe properties in Wichita. He even created a custom-built man cave that's so fancy it has a mezzanine. Whether Chock's whipping up his signature chock-a-noodle soup in his glam kitchen, with its huge island, or entertaining friends with a glass of wine or whiskey in hand, he's so at home in his city. It's probably the place he loves the most in the whole wide world. That's why Joan may want to join him in Wichita, living there full-time. Sure, they're equals in the relationship, but Joan is retired and Chock's spending a lot of time at the office. He is involved with the business just as he's always been. For weeks, Bachelor Nation fans have been bracing themselves for an emotional goodbye between Joan Vassos and Chock Chapel on The Golden Bachelorette. Chock, the soft-spoken but steadfast Kansas native, made it clear early on that his roots run deep in Wichita. And Joan, well, she's a Maryland woman with a thriving life on the East Coast. The distance alone has been enough for fans to predict that their love story would end with heartbreak. But just when everyone thought they had Chock figured out, he threw a curveball. He's not leaving Wichita. Period. Full stop. It's non-negotiable. And while that may seem like the final nail in the coffin of his Golden Bachelorette romance, what if there's another way? What if, instead of Chock making the move, Joan rethinks her own future? Could she be the one to uproot her life for love? Chock's deep roots in Wichita, more than just a hometown at first glance, Wichita might not seem like the place to keep a man from chasing love across the country. It doesn't have the glitz of Los Angeles or the romantic skyline of New York. But for Chock, Wichita isn't just home. It's his heart. It's where his family built their legacy, where his lifelong friends gather at the same diner every Sunday morning, and where he's carved out a life filled with meaning. Chock has always been open about his devotion to his community. He's the kind of guy who volunteers at the local youth center, shovels snow for his elderly neighbors, and knows the best barbecue spot in town. It's a place without a website, of course. When Joan visited Wichita for their hometown date, she saw firsthand just how woven he is into the fabric of his city. "This isn't just where I live," Chock told Joan. "This is who I am." The reality is that asking Chock to leave Wichita is like asking the Kansas wind to stop blowing. It's just not going to happen. But that doesn't necessarily mean Joan has to say goodbye. In fact, there might be one very compelling reason for her to make the move. Why Joan should consider moving to Kansas. Joan Vasos is a woman of strength, intelligence, and independence. She built a beautiful life in Maryland, raised a wonderful family, and is now at a point in her journey where she's seeking companionship that feels like home. That's exactly what Chock offers, not just love, but a sense of belonging. And if there's one reason Joan should seriously consider moving to Kansas, it's this. Chock offers the kind of life she's been searching for. Joan has spoken repeatedly about her desire for a love that is steady, a partner who is reliable, and a future that is peaceful. While Maryland has been home for her, it's also where she's experienced loss and hardship. Her journey on the Golden Bachelorette was, in many ways, about starting fresh. And what better way to start fresh than in a place where love, not the past, is the foundation? What Wichita has to offer Joan. It's easy to dismiss Kansas as just another flyover state, but Wichita has a charm all its own. For one, the city is brimming with culture, from the stunning Botanica Gardens to the historic Old Town District, filled with art galleries and live music. And let's not forget that it's home to some of the best comfort food in the country, something Chock would undoubtedly introduce Joan to. But beyond the aesthetics, Wichita offers something even more important: community. It's a place where people look out for each other, where friendships last a lifetime, and where love stories don't just get written, they get lived. Joan has spent her life making sacrifices for others. She's given her time and energy to raising her children, supporting friends, and creating a fulfilling career. But now, she has the chance to choose herself. If love is truly what she's looking for, why not choose the man who has made it clear that she is his future? Why not step into a world where happiness is built on steady ground rather than compromise? The hardest decision Joan will ever make, of course. Moving to Kansas isn't a decision Joan can take lightly. It would mean leaving behind familiarity, adjusting to a new lifestyle, and embracing a quieter, simpler way of living. But isn't that exactly what love is about? Taking risks for the right person, stepping into the unknown with faith, and believing that the best days of your life might just be waiting for you in a place you never expected. And Joan wouldn't be the first bachelorette to make such a move. Over the years, many couples in Bachelor Nation have had to navigate the tricky reality of long-distance love, with some finding success by taking a leap of faith. If Joan were to make the choice to move to Kansas, she'd be doing so not out of sacrifice, but out of a genuine belief that this is where she's meant to be. Will she or won't she? As the final episodes of the Golden Bachelorette approach, fans are waiting with bated breath to see what Joan will decide. Will she walk away from Chock, unwilling to change her life for love? Or will she take a chance on something beautiful, something real, something worth fighting for? One thing is certain, Chock isn't going anywhere. But maybe, just maybe, Joan is. Because sometimes, the greatest love stories aren't about finding someone who will chase you. Sometimes, they're about finding someone so sure of their love that you realize you'd rather stand still with them than run anywhere else. And maybe, just maybe, Wichita is where Joan's forever begins.